Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost. Amen. In June of 2002, the late Pope John Paul II canonized one of the newest saints of the Church, Saint Padre Pio. Padre Pio, of course, was already very well known as the priest who had every day for 50 years the stigmata, or the 5 rules of Jesus, the 2 in the hands, the 2 in the feet, and the 1 rule on the side. Padre Pio was so well known that whenever people had trouble understanding what a Capuchin was, when they asked what order I belonged to, I only had to say Padre Pio's order, and most people understood. But not everyone here may know much about his life. And so, as we begin this novena in his honor, allow me to share just the basic information about his life. Our saint was born in Italy in the year 1887, and he died in the year 1968. So he is a saint of our lifetime, at least for most of us. His parents were poor, so poor that his father had to leave his family and go to New York to work and send the money back home to Italy. This was certainly a hardship for the whole family, for mother and father to be separated, and for the father and the children to be separated. Padre Pio was a devout child from the very beginning. He played like any normal boy, but he would often slip away to pray. If one of his classmates cursed, the young Padre Pio would reprimand him. He was close to his parish priest and started to be tutored by him. Already the young man and his parish priest began to see the signs of a possible vocation to the priesthood. But it was not just to the priesthood that God was calling him, for one day the young boy saw a group of Capuchin friars marching in procession with their beards, and the young man said, "There, I want to be like them." In the year 1903, Padre Pio joined the Capuchins to follow the footsteps of St. Francis of Assisi, to live poverty, chastity, and obedience, a life of prayer and penance. If Padre Pio had not been called by God to be an extraordinary saint, a saint with many supernatural graces, he would have been just like any ordinary holy priest. Padre Pio was not a brilliant theological or philosophical thinker. He was not a gifted speaker. He was not a talented organizer. None of these things would have brought him much attention. But he was also more than just a holy priest. He was specially called by God to live an extraordinary, supernatural life. First of all, he had the visible wounds of Christ every day for 50 years. Padre Pio had visions of our Lord, Our Lady, the saints. He spoke with the angels just as you and I speak. He had fights with the devil. He could read men's hearts and see their past sins. He could bilocate, to be in 2 different places at the same time. And he could send you the scent of his fragrance, which was the odor of the sweetest roses. He cured the sick, even from a distance. Brothers and sisters, remarkable as all of this is, Padre Pio's true sanctity does not reside in these extraordinary events that God graced Padre Pio with, because true sanctity consists of the complete surrender of the person's will to the will of God. Padre Pio had that, but so did all the saints. And not all the saints had extraordinary, supernatural events in their lives, like the stigmata or bilocation. Why then did Padre Pio have them? The reason is this. At certain times, all according to God's plan, God raises up a few select souls, grants them extraordinary, supernatural gifts to remind the rest of us that the supernatural world exists. You and I would not Catholics if we did not believe in the supernatural world, the world of the invisible God, invisible angels, invisible demons, and the souls in purgatory who remain unseen by us. We say we believe in this invisible world, the supernatural, but isn't it true that our daily actions in daily life give us away? That we often focus more our attention to this seen material world and often forget about the supernatural? This is a common complaint among many of us, that we attend Mass on Sunday or a weekday Mass, and after Mass we feel the very close presence of God. We are aware of His graces, but a few days later we have lost that sense of God's presence. Even the great Saint Therese of Lisieux, at the end of her life, she was not tempted to lose her patience or her charity. No, she was tempted to lose faith in the divine, in the supernatural, that even heaven existed. The loss of the supernatural is a very real danger for all of us. All around us is the divine, the supernatural. You and I are like people who go to a museum. We see a painting, and all we see is a painting. And we may even think it's a very good painting. But in comes an expert with an eye trained in art. And he can look at the very same painting and see a masterpiece. Something worth thousands of dollars, where you and I would have just seen a nice painting. The same is true with us and the supernatural. It is all around us, all the time, and we often fail to notice it. That is why, from time to time, we need a Padre Pio, who, by his extraordinary life, reminds us of the supernatural. When still a young boy, he would see Our Lady and St. Michael and the angels, and he would speak with them, have conversations with them. And when his friends would notice that he was speaking to someone unseen, they would ask Francesco, which was his baptismal name, "Who are you speaking with?" And he would tell them. And he himself was so surprised that his friends couldn't see the angels. He would ask them, "Doesn't everybody see them?" In the life of Padre Pio, the natural and the supernatural became fused. It became impossible to tell the difference where the natural ended and when the supernatural began. You see, my dear brethren, there are two problems that you and I will encounter if we see nothing but this natural, visible, physical world we live in. What are those two problems? Number one, if we see only the natural and forget about the supernatural, we will let the